Hey guys, it's Man89 here, I hope you're doing great, and today we're gonna be taking a closer look at Back 4 Blood, which is made by the same guys who made Left 4 Dead, and it's had a pretty rough launch due to bugs, glitches, lack of solo campaign progression, and tons of matchmaking issues. So the question we're gonna be answering today is, after a few months and several updates, is it good now? Without further ado, we're gonna start with the graphics. I reviewed the game on Xbox Series X, and even though the graphics are far from being impressive, character models look good, the environments are immersive, detailed, and have enough variety to avoid becoming too repetitive. I also like the attention to detail in certain areas. For example, little objects are well done, there is a heat effect around fire, smoke looks decent, and if you kill a zombie or a Ridden, as they're known in this universe, if you kill them from close range, you get covered in blood, which is pretty cool. Now when it comes to animations, your character's animations, I mean in first person view, they look good, but the way your teammates move, I don't know, it looks too robotic. Transitions from one animation to another are too stiff and rough around the edges, it just looks weird. And if you ever happen to be facing one of your teammates when they're talking, you'll notice the terrible lip sync job that makes people look like talking puppets. All around though, the game looks good, but how does it run? In my case, on Xbox Series X, I didn't have any performance issues, at least no noticeable frame rate dips. Back 4 Blood seems to run at a stable 60 FPS on next-gen consoles, and you should also know that there are no quality or performance modes to choose between. Speaking of graphics options, if you're on PC, you'll be happy to know the game is well optimized. I've seen it run properly on a 1060 and an i5, so if you have an average game in PC, you should be good to go. Last but not least, on PS4 and Xbox One, the game obviously looks worse, and it runs at 30 frames per second, which I think is a shitty frame rate for a first-person shooter, especially on Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, so try and get the game on next-gen or PC if you can. Now let's move on to the sound. The soundtrack is good, but I only remember hearing music in one location. Apart from that particular level, I only heard music in menus or after finishing a run. Maybe I was too busy killing zombies, I don't know. The sound effects are pretty good though. I like the way weapons sound, and I think the voice acting is okay for the most part, but some of the stuff these guys say can be cringeworthy and might ruin the immersion.
Cover me!
Great! Let's go into the creepy building, shall we?
I don't know about you, but I'd never say anything like that with that tone when there is a swarm of zombies about to eat the shit out of me and my friends. Anyways, I'll let you listen to the game audio a little bit before we take a closer look at the gameplay.
Reloading! This is the place! We should find what we need here.
On Back 4 Blood, you start in a safe room and you have some objectives to accomplish, like rescuing people or attaching boxes to a helicopter for extraction, and you have to make it to the next safe room without getting killed by the waves of regular zombies or those special Ridden, who each have a special ability and are only vulnerable if you hit their weak spots. And if you manage to make it to the next safe room alive, every now and then you might get a cutscene, and those cutscenes are extremely short. We don't get to know any of the characters better, but maybe that's a good thing, cause most of the time the dialogue parts are horrible. There are 8 characters or cleaners to choose from, featuring LeBron James, a grandma, and a former porn star. In all seriousness though, they're far from being memorable, and like I said, they're not even given enough screen time during cutscenes, so you don't really get to know them. Oh, and at first, I didn't like the card system, I thought it was useless, but I learned to use it, and it's actually an original and an interesting addition to the genre. For example, corruption cards increase the game's replayability because of the way they affect each run. Some levels are a pain in the ass though, zombies pushing you in water, or you simply falling in it kills you instantly, which means you have to wait for your friends to finish that section so they can bring you back. And even though a lot of people complained about Back 4 Blood being too hard, I think it's a good thing that the game is really challenging, especially now that the difficulty has been adjusted to make it a little bit more fair. Oh, and the game being hard isn't due to the AI, cause enemies are actually dumb and they spend a lot of time being stuck in the environment. The way they spawn though and their overwhelming number is what makes them tough to fight. And bots are even more brainless, they're just useless and annoying. For some reason, these dumb fucks seem to really enjoy standing in front of me whenever I pull the trigger, which pisses me off. Also, I don't know if you guys remember, but some stuff on Left 4 Dead was actually scary. The way special zombies caught you off guard, the music, you know. Sadly, there's none of that in here. This is just a co-op action game and it's not scary at all. And apart from co-op, you can play some PvP if you manage to find anyone online playing Swarm mode. Seriously, I had to look it up on YouTube to see what it's actually like, and honestly, it seemed unbalanced as fuck. So maybe that's why nobody's playing it anymore. But on the other hand, Back 4 Blood's got good gunplay, at least in my opinion. Guns feel great, the game supports crossplay so you can play with your friends on console and PC as well. And since we're talking about the good stuff, offline campaign progression was heavily requested by players and it was added. So you can now play the whole game alone, offline, without PS Plus or Xbox Live Gold. But playing with bots isn't really enjoyable. Speaking of which, let's move on to the fun factor.
Oh, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The game is far from being as fun as Left 4 Dead. It's still enjoyable to play though, even with random people who, for some reason, love deep throating their mic. So maybe try playing with your friends instead, because that would be much more fun. Even though the game can be so tough at times that you might end up cussing them out, especially if they're reckless and they keep on alerting the horde, or if they spend most of their time shooting their teammates in the face.
You shot me! So sorry.
Now when it comes to the value for money, if you can get the game through Game Pass, then sure, go for it. But for those of you who are on PlayStation or just don't want to get Game Pass, Back 4 Blood is gonna cost you $60, which I think is a lot for a game like this. I mean, okay, it's got good replayability and decent gameplay, but in my opinion, it shouldn't be more than $40. Back 4 Blood is a great game to play with your friends if you can get it for cheap, because it's got new ideas, but PvP sucks so bad that there is basically no one playing it anymore. The game still needs some work, even though it's already been improved a lot, and that's why I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. A few big updates later, I can safely say that Back 4 Blood is definitely headed in the right direction. By the way, let me know if there are any other games that have had a rough launch and that you want me to review now and see if they managed to turn things around. I hope you found this video useful. I upload top 10 videos with the best games to play and game reviews as well, and I stream once a week, so if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. It's been Hitman89, see you guys very soon.